Okay, great. Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Eric Goldvarg. I'm an enterprise account executive, and on behalf of the entire team here at Directions Training, welcome to our Microsoft Teams webinar today. This is the first segment of a three-part webinar series. We're teaching on Microsoft Teams over the next 3 weeks. We're very excited that you're joining us for the next hour to learn about navigating the essentials. I hope you're anticipating a dynamic and impactful presentation. We do have a world-class instructor here at Directions Training who is a Microsoft subject matter expert presenting today, Dan Griffin. Before Dan begins his presentation, I want to briefly share some valuable information about Directions Training, including our capabilities, services, and a special offer extended to you for joining today. Since 1991, Directions Training has provided exceptional training services here in the United States and across the world, specializing in technical training and professional development solutions to maximize employee efficiency and productivity. Among our capabilities, we provide global training solutions in over 70 countries. We specialize in custom fit training solutions for all major technology vendors, such as Microsoft, Cisco, CompTIA, VMware, and many more. We possess a strong degree of expertise to provide real-world professional development solutions, such as communication, presentation, and project management skills. And we're committed to providing a wide array of flexible training options, including our direct-to-you approach, which is a hands-on virtual training environment which allows students to participate in our live training sessions from anywhere with an internet connection. So what specifically distinguishes Directions Training in the marketplace? Well, we're an authorized Microsoft managed learning partner, possessing a strong tenured experience record in providing training solutions for all Microsoft workloads, both for IT professionals and business end users. As mentioned, we are versatile to provide custom training solutions to meet the specific priorities and objectives for our since 1991, Directions Training has provided exceptional services here in the United States and across the world, specializing in technical training and professional development solutions to maximize employee efficiency and productivity. We're an authorized Microsoft managed learning partner possessing a strong tenured experience in providing training solutions for all Microsoft workloads, both for IT professionals and business end users. As mentioned, we are versatile to provide custom training solutions to meet specific priorities and objectives for our clients. A strong focus of our training services is our ability to provide adoption, migration, and consumption solutions. And these would include communication and change management, various training modalities, continuous learning content, and tools such as surveys, assessments, summaries, and other metrics. And as we've worked with many large enterprise organizations, such as the examples you see on the slide, we have the ability and resources and expertise to provide for large-scale global and multilingual deliveries. And as an accredited MBE, WBE organization, we could qualify for your supplier diversity requirements. So just to briefly summarize some features about Directions, our global training services, of course, include multilingual capabilities, over 750,000 students trained, certified instructors with real-world experience and offering of dynamic training modalities, and especially our commitment and dedication to provide excellence in all of our services. So among our 4 core competencies, these major areas, we focus on business applications, cloud solutions such as Microsoft Azure, including our Azure subscription program, infrastructure solutions, and modern workplace solutions, including change management, role-based migration curriculum, continuous learning tools and support, instructional design, registration portals, and much more. So studies have shown that an investment in training has a correlating and profound effect upon increasing work productivity, decreasing project costs, and meeting corporate goals and objectives. Again, we are very excited that you're joined our webinar presentation today on Microsoft Teams. We're extending an exclusive special offer for a 2-week demo trial subscription to our on-demand e-learning platform called TAS, Training as a Service. Now, TAS is a blended learning approach that combines multiple training platforms to maximize your results in strengthening your skills for Office 365 applications such as Teams, OneDrive, Power BI, Planner, SharePoint Online, and many more. Please contact your enterprise account executive directly or email us at sales@directionstrain.com to redeem your offer, which does expire on April 2nd. Just a few last mentions. If you haven't already, please follow us on LinkedIn for updates, news, and announcements about webinars and other services. Please visit our website, directionstrain.com, to learn more about our services. Specifically, I would encourage you to review the resources link at the very top of our site, which provides a wealth of information such as case studies, current promotions, exam cram services, on-demand webinars, videos, and a very popular podcast called Tech in the Right Direction, which is aimed at helping to create opportunities for women in technology by our CEO, Jennifer Didier. Enjoy the webinar. Thank you again for joining.
Thanks, Eric. Perfect. Good morning or good afternoon, everybody. Happy Thursday, right? It's almost the end of the week, so get excited for that. My name is Dan. I'm one of the senior application instructors with Directions Training. So we are going to be talking about Teams today. This is a Teams introduction course. Just a couple quick notes before we get going here. We do have about 193 people attending this webinar right now, which is pretty amazing. You are all actually participating in this through a Teams meeting. So that is part of something we're going to talk about today. But that's great. Just so you all know, when we talk about Teams meetings, we can have up to 250 people in a Teams meeting with low latency audio, video, screen sharing, and everything else. Now, since there's such a high number of us in this training session, I am going to have everybody on mute as we go through the session today. You do have the ability to unmute yourself, but please avoid doing that until the absolute end. At the end, we'll have some time for Q&A, and you can most definitely unmute your microphone at that point if you want to. So I'm going to go ahead and click the button here just to keep everybody muted to cut down on all the background noise. Now, during the training session, you can communicate with me as well. In our meeting space, there is a chat window that we're going to use here. So to access the meeting chat, you'll see a little control bar in the meeting space here. It's got like the meeting duration. Your video camera should be off because we don't need that either. Your microphone should have a line through that as well. If you go a little bit further in that little control bar, and if you're not seeing it, you can just move your mouse. It should pop up. But there's a little cartoon chat bubble. It may also have an orange circle next to it, just showing you that there's a new message there you might not have seen. I'm going to switch over to that right now. I'm going to say a quick hello all there. If you want to say a very quick hi back, so that way I know that you know where that is and that you can hear me. Hello, Alfredo, Denise, Jamie, Sue, excellent, Amy, Mark, Gary. All right, now it's starting to fly around here because there's so many of us in this session here. But hello, everybody. Good morning or afternoon, depending on where you're located.
Are you sharing your screen?
I am not sharing my screen yet, guys. We're just getting started here. I'm just about to share it. And like I said, if you wouldn't mind just keeping yourself on mute throughout the training session to cut down on all the potential background noise. Not only will I thank you, but everybody will thank you. All right, guys, like I said, I'll be monitoring that chat window as we are going through the training. So if you do have questions about what I'm covering, you can ask them and I'll be able to answer them as soon as they pop up. All right, everybody, I'm going to start sharing my screen and we are going to be ready to go here. So sit tight. It does take about a second here to pop this all up. Okay, we'll give it a moment here. There we are. And what you should be seeing is a very exciting looking Windows desktop. All right, it's not that exciting, but you should be seeing a blue Windows desktop background. That is my screen that I'm sharing with all of you. All right, everybody, so we're here to learn about Teams. Teams is the new communication and collaboration tool from Microsoft. It rolls a lot of the great features from all of our other applications into one window to really streamline how we work throughout the workday. Now, before I just jump right into the Teams app, I want to talk about the thing about Teams that you should know is that it's a part of something bigger. It's a part of something called Office 365. In a way, Teams is kind of like your command center for accessing Office 365. So I want to take a quick moment and just talk about Office 365 so we have at least the general understanding of it before we jump right into the Teams application. So Office 365 is the cloud version of Microsoft Office. Now, I know the word cloud gets thrown around all over the place these days, but really I want you to think of Office 365 like this. Wherever you go, your office goes. So since it's 2020 and we live in the future, we use many different devices throughout the workday. So what this does for us is that whatever device I end up using, I can always access my Office 365, access my email and my calendar and my data and all of that other stuff, okay? So how do I access Office 365 from any device? Well, you'll just open up the web browser and then you can go right to office.com. And when you're in office.com, you'll see here that I have an online or web version of all of my Office applications. So I have an online version of Outlook, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, OneNote, SharePoint, and you see that Teams is just one of our applications in all of Office 365. Now, I do want to talk about OneDrive for a moment. OneDrive really is the center of your Office 365 experience. Any file you're working on, you can store in your OneDrive, and then again, you can access it from anywhere. Any file that you have stored in your OneDrive is actually really well protected, and we're going to see some examples of that as we go through our session today. But really, any file that you do put in your OneDrive isn't technically stored on your computer. So that means if your computer breaks or crashes or anything like that, you won't lose the file because it's not really on the computer. All right, everybody. While some of you might get really comfortable working through office.com, and this might just be the place you work, some of us might prefer the desktop application, so the more traditional feel of Microsoft Office. So I'm going to show you something from there. The cool part is these are actually all connected to this cloud thing that I was just showing you right back here, okay? Now, another thing I do want to show you, a lot of you probably have access to Office 365 through your organization. You are most likely working from home at this point, and you may be using a device that does not have the latest version of Office installed. Most organizations, when you get an Office 365 license, take a look inside of yours after the training here, and you might see a button here called Install Office. You can install the desktop applications on a couple of your different devices to allow you to really seamlessly work from anywhere. All right, everybody, let's take a look at the desktop apps. So we know that office.com is out there, and it's our office wherever we are, and that I can save files in my OneDrive, and then I can access them from anywhere. Now, I'm not really too concerned about that right now. I just need to make a file. You know, maybe it's the beginning of the day, and I need to come in here and I need to make an Excel spreadsheet. And once I do that, you'll see this is just Excel. You know, I've just launched the normal Excel application. And guys, there might be a slight delay, just so you know, between what I'm saying and showing and between what is happening live, because again, there's a lot of us in here, so there could be a slight delay on certain things. Anyways, here I am. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new blank Excel workbook here. And in my workbook, I'm going to go ahead and put some data into it. So some very exciting data right there. And now I'm ready to save it. Excuse me. Now I know that I could save it to my computer, but if I save it to my computer, then I run into that risk of, you know, if my computer breaks, I'm going to lose the file. Also, if I do save it to this computer, how do I work on it on another computer? What if I need to go to another device? How do I work from that other device? Now, what we've done in the past was probably the worst things we could have ever done, which is emailed copies of the file to each other or even to ourselves. And if you do that, what you're doing is you're not actually providing access to the one file. You're actually making copies of the file. And that's something that was a big problem and still is a big problem in every work environment, as everybody makes copies of files all the time because that's just kind of what we had to do. But now with the cloud, we don't have to do that. You don't have to make all these crazy copies of the files anymore. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and save this file. I know that I could maybe save it to the OneDrive at some point, but I'm not really sure how to do that here. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm just going to try to save it to my computer. So I've gone to File. Now I'm going to click Save. And once I click Save, take a look at what's right there, guys, your OneDrive. And sites will be your teams that you belong to. But I can click on my OneDrive here. There's no files or folders in my OneDrive, but you can see there's a button right here to create new files and folders if I need to. I'm going to go ahead and put a name on this. I'm going to call this, what will we call this one? Let's just call it, it's 1147 for me. So I'm going to call this 1147 data. Oops, you know what? Wrong keyboard. 1147 data. There we go. And I hit the save button. And what I've just done, guys, is I have just saved to my OneDrive. And that was it. That was not hard at all. It's built right into Office. Okay. Now, one way that I can tell that I have it saved in my OneDrive is that my autosave is on. So if you notice here at the top, it says autosave on. That is one of the features of the cloud. So if I make changes to this file here, you'll see that it is automatically saving as I'm working. Okay, awesome. Now I'm going to go ahead and close out of this file, and we're going to see how we can get back to it. So I'm going to go ahead and close out of it in Excel. And how do I get back to it? So I know that it's not really on this computer. I know that it's in the cloud. So how do I get the file out of the cloud once I've saved to it? Well, the way that you're going to do that is we're going to go ahead and go back to the Office application. Once I am back in my Office application in my Excel app, you'll see that it's stored right here in my OneDrive and it's in my recent list. Or I can go to open and I can open right from my OneDrive, and there is the exact same file that I started at the beginning of our training session here right inside of the desktop app. All right, so I'm going to close out of that. We're going to go back to the web just for a quick second because I do want to show you that if I go to the OneDrive web app, and again, you really only need to go to office.com when you absolutely need to. Otherwise, you'll pretty much just be working through the desktop apps. But if I click the OneDrive right here, you'll see that the file is right there. Okay, so it is actually saved in the cloud, and I could access it through office.com at any time. And you can take a quick look at these buttons if you want. New files and folders, and you can upload files and folders. And I'll talk about some of these other buttons here in just a second. So let's start talking about Teams. Teams is, like I said, the new communication and collaboration application from Microsoft. Really, while it is a new tool, I don't really want you to think of it like a new tool, because in reality, it's a lot of the tools we've already been using just rolled into one window. So it's designed so that you can access all of Office 365 right inside of the Teams window without having to switch between this application and this application, you know, throughout the day. I need to go over here to instant message, and then I need to go to this app to check my calendar, and I need to go to this app for meetings and whatever else. So that really is the idea behind Teams, is to put it all in one screen for you. So we can access Teams in 3 different ways. You can access Teams through a web browser, through office.com, from anywhere on the planet, just by clicking that Teams button right there. There is a Teams desktop application. So if I click Teams in the web app, I'll show you guys. It'll actually ask you typically, if you do use the web app, it'll say, hey, why don't we try out the desktop app? We'll give it a second here to pop up. Is OneDrive HIPAA compliant? Azure is HIPAA compliant, but I'm not sure about OneDrive. You have to check with your organization on whether or not it is. We can also search online for that. But take a look, guys. I am in, that was a question that came through. When I'm in here, guys, you can see that I'm in the Teams web app, and then down here at the bottom is a little screen with a down button. If I click that, I could download the Teams desktop app. Okay, I already have it installed though. So that's the other way that you can access Teams, is through the desktop application, which I'm going to be using here today. So let me get that popped up. And then the third way that you can access Teams is through a mobile device. So I love having Teams on my mobile device. I'm an instructor who goes to different client locations all the time, and I travel. I love being able to instant message my teammates, instant message my boss or my IT support, or even call them right through the Teams app, or even join and participate in meetings and watch people present their screen all through the mobile app on my phone. Okay, which is pretty amazing, guys. So I don't have to stop what I'm doing and bust open my laptop and look for an internet connection just to join a meeting or just to send an instant message. I can do it from my phone. Now, every organization is different on how they allow users to install it on their phone. So you're going to have to reach out with your individual organizations. But by default for Microsoft, it should be open for anybody to install and use if you have Office 365. All right, everybody, now that I'm in Teams, let's do a quick overview of the Teams environment just so we get an idea of what's here, and then we'll move forward from that. On the left-hand side, I have all of my navigation buttons. So these are all the different parts of Teams that I have access to, okay? The next section over is the options panel, and then on the right-hand side, I have my workspace, okay? So that's kind of how the layout is. I'm going to come down here to Files to start. Once I come down to Files to start, you'll notice something that's right here. I have my OneDrive right here. So your OneDrive access is built right into Teams. So like I said, Teams is really all of Microsoft Office in one window. And here we go, guys. That's the file I made at the beginning of the class. And again, you'll notice my OneDrive access here. And guys, this is the one file. This is not a copy of the file. This is the same file I can access by going to my Excel app and saying open for my OneDrive, or going to office.com and opening for my OneDrive. And you can see right here. There it is, guys. Anyways, in the OneDrive access in Teams, new files and folders are up here. Upload files and folders are there. I want to show you one other button. This is my favorite button on the planet. It is called Sync. You only have to do this one time, and you will only do it on your devices that you use. But what it'll do is it will connect your OneDrive to your computer for very easy access. So even easier access than we have right now. So I'm going to go ahead and click Sync. Once I click Sync, there we go. I've already done it here. But what's going to happen now, guys, if I open up my File Explorer, you'll see that it's basically connected my OneDrive to this computer like it's a normal folder on this computer. So that means once I have OneDrive synced up and it's acting like a folder on my computer, I can drag and drop files right over from my desktop, for example, or from my local computer. And you see it's showing that it's backing up. And when it's backed up to the cloud, I will get a green check mark to let me know everything is good to go, which does take a second or two to do sometimes. But I'm going to switch back to Teams. Once I go back to Teams, I'll click away or come back, and then we'll see if it refreshes. And there you go, guys. That is the file I just brought over from the synced OneDrive. All right, guys, also in files here, you can see you have other options like recent files you've worked on, files stored in any team you have access to, and downloads. Calling in most organizations is going to be computer-to-computer calling, although some organizations do have their phone hooked up to the Teams app, which means that you can literally click on somebody and call them, and then they would be able to answer through their desk phone. Okay, so most organizations are not necessarily set up like that, so this would be, Teams account to Teams account. But you can see there's a button right here to make a call. You literally just type the name of somebody that you want to call and click, and you are good to go. You have a speed dial contact list and a standard contact list, and you can see over here on the right-hand side, it's pretty easy to manage these different lists here, okay? So if you want to pull down a team file, edit it locally, then merge channels, how is that? That's a interesting question. Why don't we'll get through the rest of the training that we have here, and you'll kind of get a better idea of that. But really, there's two places you can store files in the cloud. You can store files in your personal OneDrive, which you have full control of, and you have to explicitly share with people for them to access, or you have files stored in a team. A file stored in a team is more like a community file where anybody who has access to the team would have access to the file. Pulling down a team file, I'm not sure what you mean by that, but typically with Office 365, you can edit from anywhere. So I could edit from my desktop app if I want, or the web app, or the integrated app in Teams. It's all the same file. Office 365 doesn't care where I added it, and I'm not really downloading it to other places. So you see that all in just a moment. Right up above calls is calendar. This will be your Outlook calendar. So this is, that's it. It's your Outlook calendar. Look at the view of this, though. It's a smaller view of the calendar. So it's not really like the month view of the calendar. If you do want to jump to a different date, you can click this button right here, and you can see you've got options to jump to different points on the calendar if you need to. You do have some views over here on the right-hand side, which if you click, you'll notice that I only have the day view work week, which is basically, Monday through Friday, and then you have the week including Saturdays and Sundays. So that is what we have there. All right, guys, if you want to view the full month view, again, you can switch to Outlook for that. Outlook is not going away. Right up above that, you'll see a button for Meet Now and New Meeting. We'll talk about those further in a minute. Teams is where the community work is happening, guys. This is where the teamwork and collaboration spaces are. So each team is its own group of people or its own collection of people, and then the work that is done within the team is done within these different channels. So every team is going to have different channels depending on what they work on, but basically every channel should be purpose and content driven. If I had a file for team resources, for example, I'm not going to store it in the Project One channel. If I have a question about Project One, I'm not going to post it in the general channel. So that kind of helps you understand what channels are for. Channels can be public, meaning they are accessible by everybody on the team, including guests. And then you can have private channels, which this guy is right here. It's got a little lock on it, which you can see right there. Okay, and then you can choose who can access that. Now, we are going to have another training coming up where we're going to go talk a little bit more about teamwork. You're going to see some live collaboration and things like that. That will be happening on another date when we have another webinar coming up, okay? How do you move between different teams or remove teams no longer needed? So again, that's something we'll cover in depth in the next class. To move between teams, I mean, I have 2 teams right here. You just click from one team to the other, right? As if you're a team owner, you can add people or you can request that team owners add you, and then you'll see even more teams here. You know, if you wanted to leave a team, here's a team right here. I can click the 3 dots in line with it. You will have an option to leave a team if you want. If you're a team owner, you can even delete it if you wanted to. All right, everybody, right up above teams is chat. Chat is one-on-one instant messaging or small group messaging. Okay, we're going to talk more about that in just a second. And then you have activity at the top. Activity is your notification area. Basically, guys, there's not a whole lot you need to do here. If something is happening in Teams that you need to know about, then you're going to get notified right here. Okay. Here, guys, I had to take a sip of water. It's getting a little dry in the throat from all the excitement of talking about Teams. Let's talk about chat for a quick second, and then we're going to talk about meetings, and then we will be wrapping up our webinar. So chat is like one-on-one instant messaging or small group instant messaging. If you notice, when I get to chat, I've got my recent chat list here, and I have a contact list over here. Your contact list is actually going to be the same contact list as the call contact list, which I didn't go in too much details about, but that's basically the same list here. I'll go back. Speed dial contacts. Notice it says speed dial and other contacts. If we go to chat, it says favorites and other contacts, but it's basically the same exact list. If you wanted to create a new group, you can see there's a button down here at the bottom. There we go. If you wanted to add somebody to a group, there's the buttons right there to do so. And then to manage somebody in a group, and there we are. So that's what I really love about Teams, is that everything's right where you would expect it to be. The options for this contact is right in line with the contact. The options for the group is right in line with the group, right? So it's all very straightforward. There's no giant ribbon at the top. There's no hidden drop-down menus or anything crazy like that. Can you easily import your Outlook contacts to Teams? No, you cannot. There's no direct way to import these contacts directly into Teams at this point. But it is very easy to add somebody. So you can add multiple people very quickly and easily just by adding them from a previous chat. Can you be notified via email for new messages in a group or a daily summary? Yes, you can. You have a lot of options here for notifications. So let me go back to my recent chat for a second. When I'm in my recent chat, I want you to notice that there's little colored circles by every chat for the most part, except for the group chats. That is your status. So we should be familiar with this, especially if you used Skype for Business. You'll probably be aware of what these are, right? So red is busy, green is available, red with a line would be do not disturb, yellow is away. Your presence will change automatically depending on what you're doing in Teams. So if you end up in a call or in a meeting, it'll automatically put you as busy in a meeting. This also goes by your Outlook calendar. So if an appointment is scheduled on your calendar, as soon as that appointment time hits, it'll automatically put you as busy in a meeting, okay? Now, if you wanted to manually change your presence settings, there's a bunch of different ways you can do it in Teams. Let me show you my favorite way. When I'm in the Teams desktop app, I just hover over the little icon in the taskbar down here, and you see that I have a button for available, busy, do not disturb, and appear away. Perfect. If you look in the upper right-hand corner, this is where my account is. So you can see my initials up there. Once I click up there, I can also switch my presence setting here, set a status message, and then guys, we'll take a quick peek at settings here, because this will answer a question that somebody had. You do have some cool options here and preferences that you can set, but I do want to show you notifications. You can receive emails from Teams if you want, and some of the notifications are going to be set up to automatically give you emails. So if you want to get replies to conversations you've replied to, you can say, give me that banner in email, and then you'll get emails for anything that happened in a group chat. Okay, pretty straightforward. I'm going to close out of that here. That's something you can explore on your own. Now let's talk about how to find somebody to chat with. To find somebody or to find anything at all in Teams, there is a search box at the top, but this is much more than just a search box, guys. Just calling it a search box does not give it enough credit. It says search or type a command. What does that mean? Well, I'm going to click up there. As soon as I click up there, it says type a slash or an @ for a list of commands. I'm just going to search Dan. And as soon as I search the name Dan, take a look at what pops up here in my options panel. Any messages from Dan or that have the word Dan in them. Okay. And then, of course, I've got some filter options here, like filter from, filter message type, and you've got even more filters like date range and so on. Okay. People, this would be all the people in the organization that have the letters DAN in their name somehow, even people like Dana and things like that. And then you have files. And this is any file stored in any team that you have access to or in your personal OneDrive that you have access to that was either created or modified by Dan, has Dan in the file name, or has Dan in the file itself. So what that means, guys, is that if you know that there's a 50-page Word document out there somewhere, but you don't remember where it's stored or what it's called, but you remember on one of those pages, this keyword is on it, you would be able to find it here by that search. And then you could click filters here and you can choose how you wanted to filter it down. Okay. Pretty amazing stuff, guys, how powerful that search is. This search only searches OneDrive and Teams, though. It will not search your local computer. It won't search network drives or anything like that. Just taking a quick peek in the chat here to see if I missed anything. If some of my contacts are circle gray X, yet they are green on Skype, is that because they are not using Teams? Yes. So some organizations, there's a couple different ways to deploy Teams, especially for Skype users. There is it's called island mode, basically, and what it means is that Skype and Teams do not communicate. There is a bridged mode where Skype and Teams could communicate, although a lot of organizations don't set that up because there's a lot more work involved to do that. So if you see them green in one and gray circle in the other, that means that your company has them running parallel. They're not connected together. Okay, so most organizations, when they roll out Teams, they literally flip a switch and they say, Skype's gone, guys. We're using Teams now. Figure it out. So if your organization has both side by side, they were doing that as a potential benefit for you guys to ease the transition. It's not right or wrong, any of it, but that's just kind of the idea. All right, guys, so that's how we find really anything in Teams. You just search up top. Now let's talk about the commands that are up here. When I go to the top, I'm going to hit the slash, and this will show me a list of all the available commands. So take a look at this, guys. You can do all sorts of cool stuff. I can do like /busy up here. Okay, and then you see it changes my presence to busy. Let's do a /available. Now my presence is available. Check this one out, guys. This is one of my favorites. /keys. This will give you all of the keyboard shortcuts in Teams. Okay, pretty cool. And then my absolute favorite one is /help. So some of you guys are having some common questions that come through. I'm going to try to answer as many as I can. We have limited time in this session today, but that's okay. You can always go to /help at the top of Teams, and you will be able to figure a lot of these things out. So if you take a look here, there's all sorts of different help topics, right? We can learn all about these things. There's even training, which is really simplified video clips, but you'll learn a little bit that way. And then this is my favorite that I come to all the time. What's new? They update Teams all the time. They actively listen to the community and they add in features and change things depending on what the community is saying. So notice in March, we've already had one major update they've added in this thing called tagging. If I scroll down a little bit further, you're going to notice that every month there's about 2 updates. In January, there were 3. Must have been a special month. But you guys can see that primarily it's about 2 per month. And they're not like, you know, they change the color of a button or change the appearance of something. They're really adding in some great new features all the time. All right, everybody. So that is the search box at the top. That is the commands that you can use as well. Again, you can just type a / and learn more about the commands there. All right, perfect. So let's go to chat because I want to show you a couple things in chat that you need to know about. So let me see. I do have a chat open here with a bunch of different people. I'll just kind of walk you through one of the chats here. I know a lot of us are familiar with Skype for Business, so I want to start kind of with that stance that this is like Skype for Business, but much, much more improved, okay? If you take a look in the upper right-hand corner, you still have similar Skype buttons. So if you were a Skype user, you already know what these are. Video call or audio call, screen share, and you can see I can share my desktop or just one of my open application windows. Okay, if you had 2 monitors, it would say screen 1 and screen 2, just so you know. And if you do share your screen, just like Skype for Business, you can also grant the other person temporary control of your computer if you wanted to, okay? Perfect, so that's screen share. Then you have the 2 people with a plus sign. This is where you can add additional people to chat if you wanted to. So let's go ahead and just add somebody. I'm gonna start typing a name here. I'm gonna click. And then when I click add, what will happen here is because Irene and I are having a private conversation, and even though I'm saying I want to add Desiree, anytime you add somebody to a one-on-one chat, it will always result in a new group chat. So here's my group chat. Desiree is actually offline, but I'll demo what else we have here, guys. So as a matter of fact, I'm going to start a different group chat. There's a new button at the top here with a little pencil. If you click that, it'll just start a generic or empty chat, and then you can type in the names of the people that you want to add. So I'm going to add in 2 other instructors. I think they're both probably offline, but I'll still send them a message anyways. Okay, perfect. All right, awesome. Now that this is a group chat, there's 2 really special controls that you have here. When it's a group chat, when you go to add people now, so I'm going to click add people, look at the option I get. Include all of the history or don't include the history, or just include the history from the last couple days. So that's unique. When you have a group chat, you'll have those options, okay? The other cool thing about group chat is you'll notice a little pencil over here where you can click and you can assign that a name. So instead of this being the Desiree and Jim chat, I can call it, Teams Training Chat. So we know what it is when we reference it over here on our recent chat list, okay? All right, perfect, guys. Here are the things that really set this apart, though, from Skype for Business. This down here at the bottom. You have a button here to format your messages. So this is far beyond what Skype for Business would ever let you do. And you know what these are: bold, italic, underline, strike through, background color, font size, styles, bullets and numbering and quotes and tables and really anything else you could possibly want. Okay, guys, I see some questions coming through. I'm going to address those in just a second, guys, just so you know I'm not leaving you hanging. To the right here, I have an exclamation point. If you click that, you can change your delivery options. So standard is obviously the standard way you send an IM. If you are one of those people that sends all of your emails as high importance, I have great news for you. You can send all of your IM messages as high importance if you need to. And then if I go back to that importance button or that delivery option, there is one more option here, guys. This is a newer one. It's called urgent. Urgent will notify recipients every 2 minutes for 20 minutes until they respond or look at your message, okay? So don't do that unless you want to lose friends and annoy people. No, I'm kidding. If there is something legitimately urgent, you do have an option for it, okay? All right, guys. All right, the next button over, this is where it starts to get awesome, guys, is the paperclip button. When you click onto that, I can now share a file with whomever I'm talking with directly from my OneDrive and grant access for them to edit with me. There is an option here to upload from your computer as well. If you do that option, it's still going to upload to your OneDrive, and then it's going to share through your OneDrive. So all file sharing in Teams chat is done through private OneDrive. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click on my OneDrive here. When I do that, here's my files and folders in my OneDrive. Here's the file I made at the beginning of our session today. I'm selecting that and clicking share. And once I hit the send button, that is now shared with Jim and Desiree because they're a part of this chat. And you can see it says your file has been shared. Okay. All right, guys, I can hear somebody's microphone sounds like it's unmuted. If you wouldn't mind taking a moment to take care of that. Actually, I got it. We're good. Perfect. All right, guys. So that's chat. There's a couple other things here in chat that I guess I'm going to show you since we're here. You have emojis, right? Because, oh, thank God. How could we ever work without emojis? I don't know, but I'm glad we have them. There's that. You do have animated GIFs or GIFs. Call them what you want, but you can click in there and you can type or search for anything you are looking for, any sort of reaction or whatever, and then you can put in the reaction GIF right there. To the right of GIFs is stickers or memes, and when you get to them, well, they call them stickers, but technically memes is in here. Basically, you can pick any of these. You can type your own caption, so you can see me clearing that one out. You can even go to memes itself and add your own photos and do a top and bottom caption to those too. Okay, so just another way to express ourselves. To the right of that, I've got to send that because it's such a great GIF. To the right of that is the schedule a meeting button, guys, and this is really cool too. So I'm chatting with Jim and Desiree right now. If I wanted to schedule a Teams meeting with them, I could click this little button right here, and it switches me right over to Teams, addresses it or adds them to it, and then I just fill this out and send it to them. Again, we'll talk more about scheduling meetings here in just a second, okay? So that's really cool, guys. I love the ability to share my OneDrive files right through private chat. So remember, OneDrive is your private files. Files that you put in OneDrive belong to you exclusively. Although, like you just saw, right inside of Teams chat, I can then share a file through instant messaging and grant access for people to edit that file, okay? Cool. If you wanted to make changes to any file that you have shared with somebody, you have to go to the OneDrive app for that. So if I go to Files here, OneDrive, so this is in Teams, I'm going to go to the full OneDrive app right here. And I'll show you this. It'll be real quick, guys. And then we're going to talk about meetings, and then we'll wrap up. When I get to the full OneDrive app, here's the file. It says it's shared. When I click that button, guys, look how easy this is. Here's the two people I shared with through Teams chat. They both have edit permission. That's what the pencil means. If I click here, I can change what they can do. View or stop sharing with the individual, or just shut down sharing entirely. Okay? So pretty easy to manage. I encourage you to use your OneDrive if you're not using it, but definitely check with your organization to see what policies are in place for OneDrive use. All right, everybody, let's talk about joining a meeting and what that looks like. And then again, guys, I'm going to make sure we have at least 10 minutes at the end here to answer any questions that you have. To schedule a meeting, you can do so in Outlook. If you go to Outlook, you'll see there's a new Teams meeting button at the top. When you click the button, it is a normal Outlook meeting invite. You fill out the details, you hit the send button. This link will work for anybody on the planet, whether they are inside the organization or outside of your organization. If they're outside your organization and they have Teams, great. It'll use their Teams window and connect them. If they're outside your organization and they don't have Teams, it'll open up a web browser and it will give them guest access to the Teams web app for the meeting. And they'll be able to do everything we can do in the normal Teams app, they can do through the web app. They can do screen sharing, audio, video, and everything. You will probably get a dial-in number, although some organizations don't have this set up. If you do get a dial-in number, this number is supplemental, guys, because you can do audio through the Teams meeting. You don't have to do all this extra dial-in. I teach classes all the time through Teams, and people click and then they activate their microphone on the computer, but then they decide to also dial in, and then crazy echoes and screeching noises happen. All right, so that's how you schedule it there. Let me actually show you what one would look like. So I'll schedule one to pop up here so you can see what joining a Teams meeting looks like. So I'll say that this will be at 12:30. Okay, guys, you can hear it right now. Somebody's got the echoes on. That's pretty cool. So they might be dialed in and have their microphone open. Okay. Perfect example. Thanks for demoing that for me, whoever you were. Let's keep going here. I'm going to go ahead and add in some text. I'll call this Teams meeting. There we go. And then I'm going to go ahead and send it. There we go. So this is what it'll look like, guys, from Outlook. When you have a Teams meeting coming up, you'll get the Outlook reminder, and there's going to be a button in it that says Join Online. And that's literally all you have to click. That will connect you right to your Teams application and get you right into the meeting. Okay? Let me go to Teams now. If you're joining through Teams, you just go to your calendar on Teams, right? You click on the appointment or the meeting. Once you click onto it, guys, I can click Join right up top here because, again, it's a normal Outlook meeting invite. And this is what I love about Teams, guys, is you actually have an opportunity to make sure that you're set up before you join. It's not like it's just throwing you in there. You've got options, camera on or off. If you do turn your camera on, you can have your background blurred. Well, it depends on your camera. If you don't have a camera that supports it, it'll just be your camera on or off, okay? But a lot of cameras these days can support the blurred background. You can join with your microphone muted or unmuted. Always join meetings muted. Sorry, guys, I had to say that. Again, as somebody who does presentations all the time, please always just join muted. And when you're ready to talk, you unmute and then talk, and then you can go right back on mute. It's just a pretty easy thing to do. It's an amazingly easy thing to do in Teams. You just click a button. And then you do have the ability here to change what device you're using before you even join. So I'm using a laptop right now that has a couple different options that I could use. I want to make sure that I'm using my headset. So my hands-free setup right there, which you can see. So it's letting me know I'm all good to go, and I can even make a test call before we get going here. When I am ready to join, again, you should join muted. So I'm going to join muted. I'm going to hit the Join Now button. And when I do that, here we go, guys. This is what a meeting looks like. So my camera is off. Here's the meeting duration. Camera's off. Microphone's off. Here's the screen share button. And when you click that, guys, take a look. Share my desktop. Share one of my open applications. I could share a PowerPoint here. Now, people get confused by this, so pay attention here. If you click browse, this is asking you to present PowerPoints. So if you hit browse and you select a Word document, it's going to say, hey, this is only for PowerPoints. Okay, and then you're going to be like, well, how the heck do I share a Word file? I'll show you how to do that in just a second. And then you do have the ability to create an interactive whiteboard. Okay, here's how you share a Word document, guys. You go to the chat. When you're in the meeting chat, you click the paperclip, and then you share the Word document from your OneDrive or upload it from your computer and share it with the meeting. Okay, all right, guys, when I click the three dots here, here are the rest of your options. Block people's incoming video. So if you're on a weaker internet connection and everybody's got their video on and it's really slowing down your meeting experience, you can actually disable it on your end. If you start a meeting recording, it is not your recording, it is the meeting's recording, and everybody will have access to it after the meeting. So I'll start a recording here to show you. Also, everybody will know if they're being recorded because it'll pop up at the top and you'll see a red circle here by the meeting. Above that is a dial pad. So again, you don't have to dial in, guys. Even if you are the leader and you think you need to dial in to put in your leader pin, you don't. As soon as you connect to your Teams account, it should put in your leader pin for you, and then you can control the conference here. I'm going to skip closed captioning for a second. Start video with a blur. We already talked about. Make the meeting full screen. Show meeting details. So this is how you can help people join the meeting. You can copy all the join info to your clipboard and share it with them through instant messaging or whatever else. There are meeting notes here. The meeting notes are not your notes either. They are the meeting's notes. So that means anybody in the meeting can look at them and add to them and add sections if they need to. And then finally here, we do have your device settings so you can switch between different headsets and stuff on the fly. All right, guys, let's go back here. There is a new feature called closed captioning. Notice it says it's in preview. I'll see if I can demo this right now, even though I'm already in a meeting. When you click closed captioning, what it should do is it should generate, there we go. It should generate captions for what you're saying as you're saying it. So that helps people who maybe can't use their audio in the meeting. They'll be able to read what you're saying. They're also working on a translate feature. So if you're working with international companies and somebody's speaking to you in their native language, the closed captions will come through in English. That feature is not officially out yet, but that is something they're definitely working on, which is pretty darn amazing. All right, I'll turn that off, guys. When you're done with the meeting, all you need to do is hit the red hang up button to hang up. And when you disconnect from a meeting, guys, this is my favorite part of all of it. It stores all of the meeting stuff for you under your recent chat. So take a look, guys. Here's the meeting. The recording is being rendered right now, and when it's available, I can click to watch it. My meeting notes are here. The participant list is here. The files are here. The whiteboard. Everything is right here for me, which is amazing. All right, guys, I'm going to scroll through and see what kind of questions came through the chat. If you were not able to use the chat or unable to locate it, you can unmute and ask a question. Let me take a look at what we have here. It will not pull out, it will not pull over your contacts from Skype or Outlook. Okay. You use the Teams button in the menu to move between your teams. You get, yeah, so we already talked about moving between teams. About 20 minutes remaining. So something about specific environments. Microsoft has commented. Go ahead.
What about, yeah, hi. What about not finding the chat button? So mine doesn't have a chat button or a calendar icon.
So your organization has limited Teams essentially. So they're not allowing instant messaging through Teams, and they're not allowing your Outlook calendar to show up in Teams. So you can reach out to them and ask to see if they have a plan to release that, but some organizations do lock down certain features of Teams for whatever reason.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Excellent question.
Can I expand on that question?
Go ahead if you have a question.
Okay, so we have the chat button on the left-hand side and the calendar on the left-hand side in the little bar. But when we're on a Microsoft Teams meeting like we are now, we don't have that little conversation chat window that can pop up and ask questions.
Yeah, so take a look here. This depends on your screen size and screen resolution. So if I make this window smaller, hold on, let me get to the edge here. You'll notice that the control bar will actually shrink. It's not doing it here, but your chat is probably under the three dots. So if you click the three dots, you may see meeting chat there. And you can take a look to see if you see it.
Yeah, it's not there. So maybe
if it's not,
allow chats on the left-hand side, but not in the meetings?
That is your instant messaging for small groups and one-on-one. That would not necessarily be the meeting chat.
Okay.
So
I've had meetings before, and I see that chat option. So that would be like with 10 or 15 people, but with you at the moment, it isn't there. So is that because it's an external meeting?
That could be because you guys are in my company's environment, and that might be why you don't see the chat. Your organization might not allow federated chat between different teams' accounts.
All right. Okay.
Somebody asked a question. If give me 1 second here, I'm going to answer a couple questions that came through the chat. If you are hooked up to an overhead monitor, do you need to dial in? Yeah, if you're in a conference room, I'd probably dial in. So that way everybody can just talk through the one phone system in a conference room. But if you're just one-on-one or like on your own, you don't necessarily need to dial in and connect the audio to the computer. So you can kind of make a choice. You know, you may prefer to dial in. That's fine. Just be aware of muting your microphone in the Teams meeting. Clicking join brings up the ability to open a meeting within the Teams application. We already know that. Yep. So a lot of these are just refreshing some of the things I said. Will these be accessible? Videos be accessible at a later time? Yeah. So anybody who joined the meeting when you recorded it will have access to the recording and the meeting notes after. So some people are having some technical issues. Some of you will have your Outlook contacts pulled over, which is great. Again, that's a decision made by the organization whether they want to put in the hours to do that. I have difficulty recording meetings. Once I forgot to stop the recording, I couldn't figure out how to do so after the fact. How do you access the recording later? I've not received the recording. So all the meeting recordings should be for you here in your chat. If you don't find them in your chat, guys, this is actually not even the meeting I'm in or Teams I'm in. If you go to your chat and you don't see it, what you could do is click the 3 dots over here and go to the Stream web app because they'll be there for you. Actually, I'm just going to go right to the Stream web app just to save time. So if you go in your Office applications, you go to More Apps, all of the meetings are hosted or stored in the Stream app. So if you go into Stream, okay, so here's the Stream app. It's taking a second to pop up. You can go to My Content, Meetings, and that will be every Teams meeting you've been a part of that has a recording. Okay, so that would be an easy way to see all of them from the past. Join the meeting late. So some people are talking about joining late. It says conversations, not chat. So that depends on the version of Teams you have. Okay, perfect. All right, guys.
Can you have?
Yeah, go ahead.
One last question. Can you have
Sure.
a team that's across different organizations, different servers, different account within your own?
The Teams application is designed for exactly that. So here's a perfect example, guys. This is my actual organization. So this is Directions Training's team. If you look at my team button up here, I can switch between different guest teams that I have access to that are not a part of my organization. While the feature is available in Teams, that doesn't mean your organization allows it. So you'd have to check with them to see if that's available.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
How would I be able to add a guest to one of my channels from an external source?
How would you be able to add somebody to a team externally?
Yeah,
Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
Just like you would add a member to a team. So you would go to your team and you would say add member. And what you would do instead of typing a name is you would type an email address. So add member dg@dg.com. And then it should say add guest if you're allowed to do it.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
No problem. Guys, I know we're wrapping up here. Don't forget that there was an offer for a free 2-week subscription for TAS, Training as a Service. I highly recommend you check this out, guys. It's training on demand. So you can take advantage of this and watch videos on Teams. We've got a lot of videos on Teams out there. Some of them I've actually done. And there's just a bunch of videos on really anything that you want to learn Microsoft Office-wise. So I highly encourage you to check that out, guys. Send an email to sales@directionstraining.com. Let them know you attended this training, and they will be able to set you up with that. All right, guys, let's see if there's any other questions. We got about 3 minutes left.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Can you manage, I manage more than one calendar. Can you bring over other people's calendar into your calendar on the left side?
No, you cannot. The Teams calendar is only your calendar. It's designed, if you think about how Teams is designed, it's designed for quick, efficient, and user-friendly information. So if you added in other calendars, it's not user-friendly anymore. It's going to be more difficult to switch between all the calendars, and you're not getting quick information anymore. So you'll still be able to access those in Outlook, but at this point in time, you cannot do that in Teams.
Hi, can you hear me?
Go ahead, whoever the lady was, and then I'll answer the gentleman's. Go ahead.
I have a question, and it might be in the future training, but if we have files that we all work on, you can pull those down local, and work on them. If you store them down to your hard drive and want to sync them later, we found that that's not able to be done. Is it that we're not saving to OneDrive?
Yeah, so if a file is stored in a Team or a OneDrive, you do not want to download a local copy. I encourage you to check out the next Teams training that we're going to do. We're going to do another webinar coming up where I'll actually get into like simultaneous editing through chat or through Teams, and you'll see some best practices there.
Okay, because we know how to, like, we can tell when the next person's in there and that sort of thing. And sometimes you can copy it back up, but it's kind of defeating the purpose if we know, like, two of us have it open and we're both editing, that, you know, that they'll sync. But it seems like if you try to do something and come back later, we don't know how to do that yet.
Okay, yeah, definitely check out our next webinar that we're having. And Eric or Shannon, if either one of you want to post it for people or just unmute your microphone and ask. I'm talking about people in our organization to answer when the next webinar will be.
Thank you.
All right, no problem. Who's the gentleman that had a question? Go ahead and ask.
When I click on create team or join a team, I only get an option of joining a team with the code. I don't get an option to create it.
Your organization has locked that. So you can't create teams, only your IT can do that. So reach out to them. Some organizations do that.
All right, thank you.
No problem. Guys, thank you all so much for attending this training session here, and thank you for attending this webinar today. If you do not have any other questions, don't forget about the subscription thing that we talked about. I highly recommend you check it out. Since we're all working from home these days, guys, spend 30 minutes in the morning learning about even some things in Excel that you didn't even know you could do. You can do through that task training as a service, okay? So definitely check that out, guys. Don't let that go away. That's free. It doesn't cost anything, right? So why wouldn't you check it out? Awesome, guys. If you do have additional questions, I'll stick around here for another minute or two to try to answer as many as I can. But otherwise, I do have to move on to another appointment, okay? Thank you all very much for attending the training.